Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Living Room Bitesize for Kids. Meet Julius. He's a Roman centurion. That means he was a soldier in charge of nearly 100 men. And boy, has he seen a lot. The toughest place Caesar ever sent him was Jerusalem. Not an easy job, believe me. I mean, there was this one week which started off on a real high. People kept peering out onto the streets to see and cheer on this guy called Jesus. He had been travelling around for a few years, showing incredible power, forgiving people, and teaching about God. It seemed everyone loved him, and yet, before the week was up, the Romans were putting him to death on the Friday. Crazy! Julius and the other soldiers were brought in after the Jewish leaders had arrested Jesus for the night. They didn't like the things that Jesus was saying or doing, or the fact that he was so powerful and popular, and so they captured him and tried to find something that they could punish him for. But do you know what? They couldn't find anything because he'd never done anything wrong. But when Jesus said he was God's son and king, the Jewish leaders decided that he was lying and that they could punish him for that. And so they started to beat him and laugh at him and sent him to the Roman governor, Pilate. As Julius stood guard, he listened to Pilate questioning Jesus. But Jesus remained silent. Then he and another prisoner called Barabbas were taken out onto the balcony. By this time, there was quite a crowd gathered. They were all keen to see what would happen to Jesus. Pilate silenced them. Then he gave them a choice. They had to choose who they wanted to let go and who should be killed. In Julius's minds, that was a stupid thing to ask. Why on earth would they want Jesus killed? He hadn't done anything wrong. Why should he die in place of Barabbas, who was a thief and a murderer? But the crowd began to shout, "Free Barabbas, kill Jesus! Free Barabbas, kill Jesus!" They got angrier and angrier. And Jesus, he just stood there, saying nothing. It was as if he knew what was going to happen. Julius's boss, Pilate, ordered that Jesus be killed. And so the Romans led him away and gave him a beating. When they were tired of whipping Jesus and mocking him, they tied a wooden beam to him. Then they led him to a hillside and nailed him to a wooden cross between two criminals, and gambled for his clothes to see who could keep them. Now, Julius had seen many a man die on a cross, but never like Jesus did. He didn't scream or swear. Instead, he forgave those who were being cruel to him. It was incredible. From the things Julius had heard, Jesus must have had the power to stop it all, to save himself. But he didn't. He stayed put. He didn't deserve to die, but what could Julius do? It was his job to follow orders, and so he stood guard and waited. He waited for Jesus to die. And then the weirdest thing happened. It was daytime, but all of a sudden it went pitch black. Total darkness in the middle of the day for 3 hours. None of it made any sense until Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "My God, why have you turned away from me?" God had turned away from his son, Jesus. Jesus took our punishment for the wrong that we have done. And in doing so, he was separated from his Father. Now, if you've been following the Bitesize videos, You'll maybe remember when Carol spoke about the rules that God gave his chosen people on the mountain, and how we weren't really very good at keeping those rules, and how because of that we deserve to be punished. And so it should be us that is cut off from God, because we don't treat him the way we should. But Jesus died in our place. He died so that we can be forgiven friends with God forever. As Jesus took one last breath, he said, "It is finished," and he died. The ground shook and a big, thick curtain in the temple tore in half. It was a sign and it was then that Julius knew for certain that Jesus really was the Son of God. I wonder, what do you think? Who do you think Jesus is? Do you believe he's God's son, like Julius did? If you've been following our Bitesize videos, you'll have seen lots of different things that Jesus did and heard about them over the past few weeks. Do you understand why Jesus had to die? The best bit of this story is that God's plan wasn't finished yet, but we're going to hear about that next time.